In 1999, the Backstreet Boys released I Want It That Way, which would go on to become the band's signature tune and one of the most iconic songs of the 90s. So just who were the writers and which part of the song did they struggle with the most? What heavy metal band inspired the song's classic guitar riff? Why were the band's record label unhappy with it at first? And what changes did they request to be made? Who beat the band to win Best Song and Best Record at the 2000 Grammys? And what the hell is it actually about? So many questions, let's find out. As most of you already know, the writers of I Want It That Way were two Swedes, Andreas Karlsson and pop legend Max Martin. According to an interview with Karlsson in Billboard from 2019, the two were originally brought together by the Backstreet Boys in a roundabout way. Karlsson had been an aspiring pop star in the 90s and found himself as the supporting act at a Backstreet Boys gig in Sweden in 96. He was so taken aback by the standard of the Backstreet Boys performance, he began to reconsider his career aspirations, and he decided to stay in the background of the music industry as a songwriter with Max Martin, who had seen him perform at the show. According to a 2019 article on the song in the Washington Post, by 98, Max and Andreas were living in the same apartment block in Stockholm, Sweden. And one morning, Max knocked on Andreas' door with an idea for a song, which would go on to become I Want It That Way. Max had the chorus sorted and that classic opening line, "You are my fire, the one desire," but finishing the song was proving to be a challenge, in particular the second verse. But in the end, the two writers decided to just repeat the first verse, a relatively unusual move for a pop song. The guitar riff was said to be inspired by Metallica's classic hit, Nothing Else Matters. Karlsson spoke in 2019 to Billboard about how he worked with Max. He mainly wanted help with lyrics, so I wrote some. Then we wrote a bridge for it and bounced ideas back and forth on melodies. He had a lot of the skeleton for the chorus and the melody of the verse, but he would always come over to get my take on concepts and lyrics, and I would take over and work on it, then go back to him. It was a collaboration. Whilst Martin and Karlsson were pleased with the end result, the boys' record label Jive had reservations, namely the lyrics. So much so, they flew heavyweight producer Mutt Lange, Shania Twain's ex-husband, from Switzerland to Sweden to rework the song. The 5 members of the band recorded the alternate version, which became known as the No Goodbyes version, which leaked onto the internet in the early 2000s. Barry Weiss, who was president of Jive at the time, told Billboard in 2019 how they ultimately decided to use the original. "We thought the original lyrics were typically Swedish, half Swedish, half English. What we were missing was that it was the melodies and the counterpoint harmonies that really drove that song." Clive asked Mutt Lange if he would redo the lyrics, the group re-sang them, and we were like, okay, we're ready to go. Then I had a meeting with the group where it was like a protest. They came into my office and Kevin Richardson, the most vocal of the group, was like, "Listen, we like the original version. There is no way we want this new version to come out." And I was like, "Guys, you're wrong." They prevailed and we said, "Beep it, let's back them." It came out and they were right. It was an immediate monster hit. I Want It That Way went to #1 in 25 countries, including major music markets such as the UK, Spain and Germany. It wasn't released as a single in the States at the time, but reached #6 on Airplay alone. It helped drive phenomenal sales of its parent album Millennium, which shifted over 1 million copies in its first week of release in the States, which set a record at the time for biggest opening week sales ever. Millennium has become one of the biggest albums of all time, shifting 24 million copies around the world to date. I Want It That Way was nominated for both Song and Record of the Year at the 2000 Grammys, but lost out in both categories to Santana and Rob Thomas and their mega hit smooth. It was also nominated for Pop Performance by a Group or Duo, but again lost out to that pesky Santana, who won for Maria Maria. And in the years since its release, the song has become a defining 90s track, a guaranteed edition on the decade's best of lists and polls. It has been featured on American sitcom Brooklyn Nine-Nine, parodied by Blink-182 in All the Small Things video, and The Wanted in Walks Like Rihanna, and has been covered by One Direction and American metal group Steel Panthers. And in November 2021, it joined the exclusive Billion Views Club on YouTube, which is certainly testament to its enduring popularity. Other members to clock up 1 billion views include Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, 4 Non Blondes' What's Up, and Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise, among others. Of course, time has shown that the song's confusing lyrics have in no way dented its popularity, but their meaning has been the subject of much fervent debate over the years. Speaking to LA Weekly in 2011, band member Kevin Richardson said on the matter, "Ultimately, the song doesn't really make much sense. Max's English has gotten much better though." Carlson and Martin's first language is of course Swedish, and in '98 when the song was written, the two were probably still getting to grips with English. And in my humble opinion, I'm not exactly sure why people obsess so much over the meaning of I Want It That Way. Countless other pop songs don't make much sense either. And Max Martin has become well known for his wonky lyrics throughout his career. For example, Ariana Grande's 2014 hit single Break Free, which includes the lyrics, "Now that I've become who I really are," or how about "Sadness is beautiful, loneliness is tragical," a lyric from the Backstreet Boys' 2000 hit Shape of My Heart. And probably the most famous of them all, Hit Me as in Call Me Baby One More Time. Speaking to Variety in 2019, Martin had this to say about his lyric writing process and how melody takes precedence over lyrics making sense. "If I come to a place in a writing session where one word might make better sense but the other option sounds cool, I will always pick the one that sounds appealing to me. Whatever sings and sounds the best usually wins the day, as opposed to what lyric makes most sense. The lyrics fit the melody rather than the other way around. In Max's world, melody is king." Their meaning has been the subject of much debate. And don't forget to check out my video about another classic Max Martin song, Baby One More Time. Thanks for watching.